Hello, everyone. Welcome to Marketing 452 International Marketing. This is Chapter 4 Political and Regulatory Climate. Let's talk about the political and regulatory issues facing global marketing. Okay. This picture actually was taken quite some years ago, long time ago, right? But we're probably seeing uh, something similar nowadays, and as we are witnessing a war going on between Hamas and Israel in the Middle East at this moment. Right? In this chapter, we're going to talk about the host country political climate, yeah, host country government actions, yeah, and home country political forces. Remember, keep in mind there's a host country versus home country. We'll talk about the differences just a minute. Okay, so we'll cover home country political forces, legal environments, national regulatory environments, how to manage political risk, and also global marketing and terrorism. Okay. First, what is a host country? Host country. Okay? If you're an international company, global company, okay, you go into another country, right? That country, that country contains your operational unit, and then that's your host country. Okay. So a host country is any country that contains an operational unit, marketing, sales, manufacturing, research and development, or whatever of an international company. Okay. For the host country government, all right, government, they have many political motivations to do something affecting your operation. You're going into another country, right? They have some motivations to do certain things that may not be to your best interest. One is self-preservation, okay? Second one is security. Third one, prosperity. And then fourth one, prestige. Let's look at them, okay? And ideology, okay? Cultural identity is another one. Okay? Let's look at self-preservation, okay? So for self-preservation, to preserve themselves, right? There's first of all the country government, the host country government has sovereignty concern. They will have sovereignty concerns to maintain power, right? Because the sovereignty concerns, they're going to have markets that are restricted, like media. In many countries, the media market is restricted by only certain group of people, their own nationals, or even the government. Yeah. Also, airspace and landing rights, airliners landing rights are negotiated, right? And airspace also negotiated between governments. Right? They will not just allow anyone just have a commercial route or just land anywhere, in an airport in the country. So those are restricted markets, okay, because of sovereignty concern and for preservation of the government itself. Okay. Second reason is for national security. Does anyone recognize this picture? Which city is this? Some of you might recognize it. It's actually Hong Kong at night. Okay. This is the Victoria Bay, I believe. Okay. For national security reasons, the governments may protect their defense industries. So that's where you may not be able to invest or have operations in. And the government may also control telecommunications that may not be open. The telecommunications sector may not be open to foreign competitors. Also, for fostering national prosperity. Okay? All governments, democratic, dictatorship, everyone, including dictatorships, they want to have prosperity, right? And they want to make money. They have one lot of money, lots of money. Okay? So, in order to foster national prosperity, government will do many things to stimulate the economy, right? And they want employment. They want people hired, right? They don't want too many people unemployed, wandering on the streets, all day long, right? And they also want exports. Why do they want exports for national prosperity? Because the exports from many developing countries can help them earn foreign exchange to enrich their foreign exchange reserves, to earn the hard currencies. Because their own currency, for many developing countries, their own currencies are soft currencies that's not freely exchangeable or accepted as a way of storing wealth in other countries. Therefore, they want to have to earn those hard currencies like U.S. dollars, euros, or Japanese yen, or British pound. And one way to earn those is by exporting. Right? They export to earn those hard currencies. Also, government may intervene in your operation for the reason of promoting ideology, because whatever ideologies the governments may hold or uphold, they can do something to restrict you, right? To regulate you. One of them is called the self-reliance, or juchi, by the North Korean government. It was juchi, or self-reliance, rely on their own. Okay? But that's their ideology. And also there was the non-alignment ideology by some developing countries. That was mostly during the Cold War era, when those countries were saying that they do not align with either one, East or West, U.S. or USSR. They'll stay non-aligned in the middle. Okay? Also, in China, there's a communist government in China, right? And they may have the fear that with market liberalization, the communist rule in China may be threatened. Okay? So because they want to keep their own ideology of communism, they may restrict you. Okay? Also, protecting cultural identity. Cultural identity protection is another reason that governments want to get involved. Right? Some governments may resist foreign brand names like McDonald's or Coca-Cola, because those major multinational companies, they have huge powers, huge amount of money. They have lots of power in advertising. They can occupy their national media. They have their image, trademarks, logos, commercials in the airwaves. Lots of foreign brand names, and some country may feel that it's a threat to their cultural identity. They may restrict the foreign brand names. Okay? To protect cultural content in movies and TV programming, etc. Okay? So for host government, the other government, the country that you're going into, right? For the host government, if we look at their goals and their policy actions, you can see that there are many things they can do to achieve their goal. Right? We talk about the self-preservation, security, prosperity, prestige, ideology, and cultural identity. Okay? And how do they do? What do they do to achieve those goals? Right? For example, they can advocate the slogan "Buy local." You say, "Hey, buy local," right? Buy local. not by imports. Okay, so then you see that they can achieve goal of self-preservation, security, and prosperity, but not the other three, right? They can establish non-tariff barriers, non-tariff barriers for self-preservation, also for prosperity, because they have barriers, so that will restrict foreign companies from coming in, so they can encourage or stimulate their own economy, own companies, right? Subsidies. They may give subsidies to their national companies, their own companies, right? For self-preservation, for prosperity, and even for prestige. Okay? Then they may set up some operating restrictions for self-preservation, for security, and also for cultural identity. Okay? They may have local content requirement, saying, hey, you want to build a car here in this country, you must have 25% or 50% of the parts coming from local. Okay, that's for the local prosperity. Okay, for their own prosperity. They may set ownership conditions, right? Like say 50% or 51% of the ownership of this joint venture has to be, domestic, companies or our own nationals. Okay, and it could be also for ideology reasons, also for cultural identity reasons. Okay, they may start boycotts, right? Could be non-governmental boycotts, to preserve their ideology. Okay? The governments may also have takeovers. They take over your company. So your U.S. company operating in some, say, Arab countries, the government may take over your oil company and nationalize it. Okay, so takeover by government action could be used for self-preservation, for their own security, their prosperity, and keep their ideology. Okay, so the X means indicate the likelihood of using given action to accomplish that goal. Okay, I want you to look at this chart and make sure you understand the logic behind. Okay. There are also host country pressure groups. You go to another country, you want to operate in that country, there's some pressure groups that may give you some hard time. Yeah? They have their labor unions, may have a strike against you. Right? There are political parties. They're not the party in power, but the party at large may have certain issues with you. Political party may give you pressures, right? Environmental groups in the country, right, will have, it's very likely to have impact on your operation in the country. They may be saying that, hey, your operation here or your subsidiaries here are contaminating our lands or water. Okay? Local business community may not like you. Right? They fear that your multinational companies, big ones, we are small mom and pop stores, and we cannot compete with you. So local business community may resent you. Okay? Host country actions by the government, as we said, the government subsidies is one. Give subsidies. Ownership restrictions. You have to yield your partial ownership to their own nationals. Okay? Operating conditions, they can give you the work permit or not. They may require local content, percentage of local contents in the final product. Okay? Operating conditions can also be affected by what the governments fail to do, not what government does, but also what they fail to do, like kidnappings. Okay? If the government does not act, strong enough or quick enough to protect you, the police is not protecting you. The foreign company executives may be kidnapped. Okay? That's quite scary, right? They are boycotts of firms. Boycotts of firms. Okay. There are government boycotts, like Arab boycott of Israel. Yeah. With this war going on in the Middle East, we probably see more of that, coming. And there was the Arab boycott of Israel, and there are also ad hoc consumer boycott. Yeah. There's new Arab boycott of USA. Okay. Takeovers. Now you're getting scarier, huh? Very scary now, right? The takeover. What is takeover? Host government actions that result in a firm's losing or loss of ownership or direct control. You lose your ownership or you lose your control of your company, right? So that's called government takeovers. Yeah. When they take over, will they give you money? They may give you some, a little bit. They may or may not be giving you any money. Okay. One form of seizure of operation is called expropriation. That's a formal seizure of an operation. Okay, expropriation. Or there could be confiscation. Confiscation is an expropriation without compensation. Okay, so when the government take over your business, take over your ownership or control, and they may give you some money. That's called expropriation, but they may not give you any money. Yeah, that's confiscation. We talked about the host country actions, right? Now let's talk about the home country actions. Home country, your own home country, right? Home country actions are guided by the same six interests as host countries. The six interests we talked about, right? Like for example, there is the U.S. embargo of Cuba, right? We know this embargo has been going on for decades, and there were talks about the lifting the embargo, but I guess now it's not really happening, right? And also there's U.S. anti-Arab boycott legislations. Okay? Often home countries seek multilateral actions to increase their bargaining power. Like the U.S. government wants to have a boycott of certain Arab countries, for example, or anyone. They may say they may seek the help or cooperation of European allies to make that really work well, work better, right? Home country pressure groups. In our own country, our own home country, your firm's own countries, there are pressure groups that may have impact on you, right? Companies may come under pressure at home for their choice of markets. Where do you want to go? Right? Before, some companies, U.S. companies, went to invest in South Africa, and they got the pressure to withdraw, to divest in South Africa. Okay, so your choice of market may be affected. Your methods of doing business may be affected. Yeah, do you hire child labor in those countries or not? Okay, and Massachusetts, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts passed law to deny state contracts with the firms operating in Burma, Myanmar. Okay. Also, there are you go to another country, you operate globally, internationally. There are different legal systems in the legal system that may have impact, that will have impact on you. So let's look at the international legal traditions, right? There are several, legal systems or legal traditions currently being observed, being in place in different countries. They are the common law countries. What's the common law countries? In the common law countries, such as in the United States and Great Britain, right? The judge the judge, the court, will rule by precedence. Yeah, that's why it's called a common law. So when deciding on a case, if a judge or the defending, the prosecutor or the defending attorneys can cite something, precedence, a case from maybe 50 years ago, 100 years ago, and that was in your favor. If you can cite that successfully, you're more likely to win the case. Okay? So because they follow the judge or the court, the system, follow precedents, old cases, previous cases. Okay? That's the common law system. That's mostly practiced in the U.S. and in the U.K. and some former British colonies. Okay? And there's also the civil law system or code law system. What's a civil law or code law? That's being practiced by many countries in continental Europe. Okay? That is, the judge or the court will rule by the code, by the book, what is written in the book. They don't look at too much into the precedences or old cases, but just look at the code word by word. Okay? In many Arab countries, there is the Islamic law system. They follow the doctrines, the theories or guidance in Quran and in their spiritual scriptures to decide on cases. Okay? If you operate in Islamic countries, you need to pay attention to the Islamic law. Right? In some communist or socialist countries, they have so-called socialist law, like in China. So it's really not really a fair, open legal system. So basically, the communist government or socialist government, they set the rules. So be careful. Okay? Also, in this country, there has been some legal evolutions going on for consumer protection or for fair wages and fair operating conditions of the workers. Okay? We started out initially with this Product Liability Act, laws protecting consumers from being hurt by faulty products, right? Product Liability Act. Then there were bankruptcy laws, Chapter 7, Chapter 11, different type of bankruptcy laws to affect protecting, the people in debt. Okay? And now we have cyberspace. We have the internet. We have like online fraud, and we have many criminals, violating the laws, and run across international borders. And they do a lot of commit many things, bad things in the cyberspace. So there are laws regulating cyberspace that's being established. Okay. Another concept I want to talk about is called the human nature orientation. Human nature orientation, HNO. Okay? What is this about? Basically, the human nature orientation could be positive or negative. Right? A positive HNO assumes people can be trusted to obey the rules. Again, positive HNO assume people can be trusted to obey the rules. Okay? Let's say you are driving your car at midnight or 1 a.m. Okay? In downtown Aiken, for example. You drive on the road and there's very quiet, there's no people around, no cop, no people, no passengers, no pedestrians, not even cars. You're the only car. Right? You come to a stop or a traffic light. There's a red light there. But you see clearly, and you know clearly no other cars are on the streets. Do you stop? Okay, do you stop? I asked this question many times to my students, in my classes, this class, And for majority of them, we Americans, we want to obey the rules. Most of my students, including myself, we will stop. We just stop at red light and patiently wait for the light to turn green. Then we proceed. Okay, that's called the positive attitude. No, people can be trusted to obey the rules, even when nobody else is around. Okay. There are also countries that have negative attitude. No, they assume people cannot be trusted to obey the rules. Okay? They will not do that. They will not obey the rules. Not only when they were not seen, but only when they are seen, right? So they just don't want to follow the rules. Okay? We're not passing any judgments here, but just we observe that positive and negative human nature orientations in different countries. Okay? Also, attitude toward the rules. Attitude toward rules are different. Attitude toward rules are affected by two criteria. Right? One is the level of power distance. Remember power distance? Right? And the second is type of human nature orientation we just talked about. Right? Because of different level of power distance, and also the positive or negative human nature orientation, attitudes towards rules are affected. In fact, right? Another perspective on attitudes toward rules is that they are tight cultures that are tight, or countries, culture, or it's just very tight, very strict. Okay, tight cultures. They may have many rules, norms, and standards for correct behavior. Right? They criticize and punish rule breakers severely. Okay? I'm sure you can think of some countries as examples. They're more isolated and less influenced by other cultures. Okay? Those tight cultures. They are also loose cultures or loose countries, loose cultures that have fewer rules, fewer norms, and standards for correct behavior. People tend to behave themselves. Okay? How do you predict regulatory or governmental changes in their actions or attitudes or rules? Okay, there are things that you can do to predict regulatory change in a country. Okay? You analyze economic basis of changes. Those regulatory changes take place or happen normally because of some economic changes, situations, changes, or up and downs of their economy. Okay, and first one, so you analyze the economic basis. Is companies getting is better off or worse off? Okay, and you listen for signals. Right? There got to be some signals, many signals. You need to listen to them. Right? Listen for that. Okay? How do you manage regulatory change? If the country government, the host country government, change the regulations and affecting you, what do you do? Right? There are 4 strategies. That's going to be in your test. Make sure you understand and memorize that. Okay. First strategy is alter. Bargain to get government to change the regulations. If you're powerful enough, you have strong allies, and you have strong big connections, you can try to bargain to the government and say, hey, this is not right, this is not reasonable, you should change that. And some may change it. Okay, alter. Second one is avoid. Move to bypass the impact of the regulation. You cannot alter, you cannot change. Hey, bypass it. Right? Move to bypass the impact of regulation. Okay? The third one is accede. If you cannot change, you cannot avoid, hey, you better comply. Okay? Comply with it. And the fourth one is ally. Right? Allies. Right? You avoid some risk by seeking strategic alliances, ally. Okay, so the 4 ways of managing regulatory change: alter, avoid, exceed, and ally. Okay, keep in mind. Okay, political risk. Okay? We talk about regulatory risk, right? There's also political risk, right? Political risk is the possibility that an unexpected and drastic change due to political forces will result in adverse circumstance for business operations. Okay? That's pretty bad. Okay? Pretty bad. Okay? So if you want to compare regulatory change versus the political risk, okay? Regulatory change tend to be more moderate and predictable changes in the business environment. Political risk, on the other hand, is more unexpected and drastic changes. Okay, there could be a huge change in the political environment, in the landscape. Also, I'm going to give you an example of political and regulatory change affecting U.S. business. Have you heard about a company called? Have you heard about a meditation practice called Falun Gong or Falun Dafa? If you have not, I want you to visit this website, falundafa.org. Okay, Falun Gong means the Qigong of Falun. Well, Falun means law wheel. Falun Dafa basically means the Fa is the law, well, Lun is the wheel, Dafa means the great law. So that's what Falun Gong, right? The basic principle or tenets of Falun Dafa is truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance. Truthfulness, compassion, tolerance. That's what the cultivators in this Falun Gong meditation practice believe and uphold and follow every day. Okay? Unfortunately, in 1999, the Chinese communists, under its leader Jiang Zemin, started persecution of Falun Gong for fear that this popular meditation may impact their grip of power. Okay, so therefore they started persecution, right, in 1999. Right. With the persecution, the government even staged a self-immolation in Tiananmen Square to incriminate the practice. Okay? Also, the government set the conditions of employment to those companies in China and even foreign companies in China. They basically forbid companies to hire, to employ people or practitioners of Falun Gong. In other words, they basically discriminate on the basis of their belief in their employment practice. Okay? So you can see faith and employment are intertwined in this situation. So let's say if you are a U.S. company operating in China and then you are ordered, you're forced by the government to say not to hire anyone who practices this meditation, what would you do? Okay? There's no right or wrong answer. It's all your answer. There's not even a test, right? I just want you to think about that. What would you do in that situation? Okay? Political countries some countries are more politically risky and some are less risky. Right? Here are the countries list of countries that are risky or not. Right? Not so risky: U.S., U.K., Switzerland, Canada, Germany, France, etc. Right? Moderate risk country: Poland, Hungary, China, Tunisia, Mexico, Egypt. And risky countries include those like Afghanistan, Iraq, Congo, Sudan, Georgia, Cuba, and Armenia. Right? Japan, not risky. India, moderate. risky, Russia risky, and Singapore not risky, Turkey moderate, etc. Okay, so here is a typology of political risk. Right? If you want to look at government risk or instability risk, and then if you look at a firm specific risk and the country level risk, right? There are firm specific risk, the risk that only pertaining only to firms, or the risk that pertain to everyone in the country, right? Either by government or by instability. Government risk for firm specific may be, discriminatory regulations, creeping expropriation, breach of a contract. Okay, for instability risk, there could be sabotage, kidnapping, firm-specific boycotts. Okay. Country level, there could be mass nationalization by the government. There could be regulatory changes, currency inconvertibility. You cannot change, you cannot exchange the current money. Right? For instability risk, there could be mass labor strikes, right? Urban rioting, and even civil wars going on. So pretty bad, huh? How to manage political risk? Manage political risk. You fight the battle on two fronts. You try to have a perfect intelligence system to avoid being caught unaware when changes disrupt operations. Second, you may want to develop risk-reducing strategies that help limit their exposure or the losses they would sustain should a sudden change occur. Okay, so you want to do that. For business environment and risk intelligence, you can observe those political risk index. There are companies offering those political risk index, giving you the assessment, their assessment, operational risk index, right? Remittance and repatriation factors. Look at the composite scores of those to know what to do or how to manage this risk. For example, Berry SA is a private source for comprehensive ratings, analysis, and forecast for over 140 countries. So companies like that, services like that, you can explore, you can employ, to help reduce the risk. Okay. Also, reduction strategies. You can share the risk, by forming joint ventures, alliances, licensing, franchising, management contracts, and counter trade. Okay, you can use project finance. Okay, you can try to minimize assets at risk. And how do you do that? Assets at risk. You bring your money, go into the country, you invest in that country, and that country is risky, right? What do you do to minimize that risk, right? How do you do that? I'm going to pause for a second. Actually, think about that. You're going to bring in a lot of money, say, to China, right? And there is a political risk and a regulatory risk. How do you minimize that? Somebody did that, right? Actually, I think Elon Musk did that. When he opened the factory in Shanghai recently, the Tesla car factory in Shanghai, mega factory, gigafactory in China, he actually borrowed money from the Chinese government. So borrow locally can minimize your assets at risk because you're not bringing your own money into the country, but borrow locally. So there's a problem with the government. It's actually the government that loaned you the money in the first place. So you are not really at risk. Okay? I think that's what Elon Musk did with his Tesla in Shanghai, China. So that's how you can do it. Okay? And also you can buy insurance against risk, like government insurance through OPIC and private insurance. Okay, I think that's pretty much what I want to talk